Sunday Nights Talks. I'm joined by the Black Knight. Hello, how are you?
Hello. I'm well. I've been just a tiring day. Lots of writing, lots of editing, and
Hmm.
usual stuff.
Well, this
Also,
time I want
also
to.
making
Yeah.
bread.
Ooh. Well, this time, oh, Night of Bakers. Um, I figured we'd talk about something a lot more interesting than um, American soap opera. I hope people don't mind that joke. I heard the phrase recently. Politics and democracy is basically just the middle class's soap opera. It's all show and nothing's really. It's not real. And I happen to agree with this statement. So I figured rather than discuss something we both loathe in at the start for marketing reasons and whatnot, we'll discuss something we're actually a little more interested in, and that's a little probably of more interest to our fans, marketing and possible plans. And what I'm thinking for um, the future is that um, now for a while I've been thinking about doing audio narrations and whatnot. But the thing is, some plans fell through. So, and seeing others start doing it, I've decided I'm going to just go ahead and do it. But what I'm, what I had thought was that it might be good to do this for um, something like, I don't know, um, Crown of Blood
Mhm.
and also Shit Dinosaurs once I get that a little more squared away. And um, also for maybe one or two other stories that have been written, such as Remus and Guilherme. Um, and the idea would be to do actual visuals for these um, books and to basically put them out in an episodic manner. Oh, right. Olymp no Machi was what I was also thinking of doing this with. And
Mm.
the idea would be to put background music to make this um,
Like
rather
an
more
interactive.
cinematic,
Uh, yeah, yeah.
like an
Almost like
audio,
the. Yep,
a
yep.
radio
It
drama.
was like if you remember, there were projects back in the day, like in the early 2000s. I'm not sure. Um, if you see them, the like multimedia books
Mm, yeah.
with art, music, and animations and stuff. But they didn't catch on because it was like way too expensive to make them.
Mm,
Probably now, well, people could make them like one or two people can make them. But back then, you'd need like a bunch of like a big group of artists. It was like too expensive.
yeah. So, um, what I had thought was that um, this would be something to consider getting into, and I don't know if it'd be something that would interest, for example, James Sparza, um, to jump
Oh,
on board to do something like that for Star Shatter or Lord of Bones, and where like um, the idea would be this could market our books and also get a new crop of people interested. Now, such projects are usually fairly a little time consuming, I think. Um, Isaac Young's met with some success. Ulysses wants to do this for Varcola, and But the horror story is not yet finished, but it'll be interesting to see what he comes up with. And this got me thinking that maybe just take the plunge and go for it. And yeah, so it'd be something which we could perhaps, like Brothers Crin on Midsand would probably cross post this with Alliance Authors, or just put it on Brothers Crin, at least for my audio stuff. And as for the YouTube channel, I'd probably also put it up there, and TikTok, because why not? And this would basically hopefully net us more, like reach a larger audience. Also because at some point, like you do need to, like it is important to try to expand one's marketing and try a different tactic, I guess, than the norm. There was that as a secondary project during less busy times.
Oh yeah.
Because today I got to record a few videos in preparation for the crowdfunding. I've got a crowdfund meeting with my editor because we finally resolved some of the problems regarding that today. At least Daniel resolved it because, he's a godsend. And the thing is, this means the Kickstarter campaign will be a go, and it'll have a pre-launch page. So people will be able to check it out, and we could build up momentum towards it for the next, few, like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. But after, I want to do more to try to market and push forward the books and whatnot. And I do think crossing into the audio sphere can be useful in getting more fans and getting more reviews and whatnot. But I think that for one thing, like you and I are fairly well allied together. So I figure like this would be something which not going to hide from you. And, like we're both kind of European. We're both kind of wanting in on a good market. But the thing is, I figure that with the Lord of Bones and Star Shatter stuff, this could be put on either James' YouTube channel. So if, like any revenue from those videos that are made, he can keep if he wants. And in turn, when it comes to Substack, you and him could cross post for those if he helps you out. And as for mine, I'll just do them myself, although I'm not very good. Or I'll try to see if I can't rope in World of Conan to help me out. I don't know what you think of a lot of these ideas. I'm not wanting them to be too far-fetched. I'm wanting them to be fairly grounded and
Yeah, that it's especially the audio part. It's doable. It's doable though time consuming, and that's the only
yeah.
perhaps the only real like
Well,
issue.
this is
If we
where
can even say it's an issue, it's a I'll ask him. We'll see what he says. He's
yeah, to help.
especially especially addicted, so to speak, to the audio sphere, James. So he has like this radio voice, which specific radio voice, which is like super awesome when you want um, a narrator to narrate, let's say, a horror story, or
Uh,
something like some mysterious, a mysterious story, or like a detective story, or something. It's like it
okay,
comes naturally to him. So
okay.
I
I meant
think
for you to.
he'll love it. Yeah, he'll
I
love
meant
it.
for.
It's just the problem is it's time.
Yeah, I meant for you to perhaps do your own reading, but and him to do the video.
Mm.
But that,
Yeah, I'm just saying that.
yeah,
Uh,
he's also quite skilled. Yeah, I've heard some of his channel, some of his videos on his channel. I've listened to some of like after the stream your talks with him and Rebecca. So like, he's got a good voice. He's got a good voice. Yeah. So, and if all else fails, you get Belgor or Basil to help you out.
uh, I
I'm joking.
have to. By the way, I have to see if did I mention one of my um, all-time readers and friends. He's known as Mr. Brushface. He's also quite the artistic guy. He had like 2 pages back on Minds, when Minds was still working, and he used to do all sorts of uh, narrative reading. He did a number of my stories, and some of the blogs that I wrote back then. He also narrated them,
Oh,
and it was quite awesome. He has the different radio voice, you know. That's the voice that you uh, imagine one of these like cool storytellers in the tavern have, like
yeah.
the gruff voice. That's his voice. So I managed to drag him back. I managed to drag him back into the social media sphere, and he made a page um, on Substack, but he's currently doing stuff, and he was unable to like post anything. But I'll ask him too. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
He was
Well,
having he was having lots of fun reading, and not just my stuff. Like he was going to different indies and asking them if they will allow him to read their stuff, and post it on his YouTube page with like as free advertisement for them. So yeah, we'll see.
you could, yeah, he might be able to help. Well, I assumed it'd be harder to find people and that we'd have to do it ourselves or something like. Um, well, I've tried practicing like uh, more to an extent the Andy Circus and some of those old radio style voices, such as the Loch's tendrils snaked their way through much of the heart of the lands to the north of the highlands. Wintry lands as often invaded by frost and rain, as they were by barbarians of such savagery that they were beyond the ken of all men of the southlands. Painted, they wore upon their persons furs as well as they might wear hauberks, crafted of iron. In days of yore, they and the people of the Khalid lands had been one, separated only by the river Wend. More recently, they had changed as surely as the Khalids had. So,
Yes. Let me. My own voice is perhaps not that suitable, but I can still I
it's
can
the
still
accent and dialect that you have that makes you stand
um
out, which is good.
let's see. What? Give me a second. Yes. Was that? No. Let's see this other one. If this was like, I read a piece, like a bit from the second book about Velindo Utoren on one of the streams with James and Snow. So let's see if this was it, or if it wasn't. Hmm. Let's see if this was it. No. Strange. Oh yeah, I found this. So I don't know if you listened to it. So tell me if you did. The once impressive to look at fortifications, their bastions and redoubts, they were managed no longer. It had been decades since anyone, even a child soldier, had navigated their trenches, tortured by centuries of enemy weapons fire and bombardment. Craters from detonated plasma munitions, once glowing hot, had long crystallized and turned into small lakes. Had one had the time and will, ignored the fusion radiation and all the chemical sludge these were full of, they'd find rotting bones at the bottom. As a matter of fact, the bodies of both defender and invader had deteriorated. Their flesh fed what was left of Avernus ecosystem. Bugs, worms, and many rat-like critters had long since picked their bones clean. Although there were certain places where even these omnipresent representatives of nature dare not tread. Within the bunker's shattered halls, across its cleaved by beam and blade corridors, there lay a million-strong army of the dead, their blackened flesh preserved by aridity and dust. These were the corpseified witnesses of all atrocities the invader had perpetrated there.
That was actually really good.
I think I read managed instead of manned, but yeah.
I think that when it comes to this, what would be needed is to figure out the how do I put it, to do the video part, because doing the visual section could draw more people in, but for that, well, for one thing, I had thought I would practice with at least someone else's book and use that as a bit of basic marketing, because I met him at a convention. I agreed to market his book a little. And what I had thought was still to post crap on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok more as a extra set of readers, not even bothering to direct them to Substack or anything, because I don't think they'll ever go for it. Each website seems to operate in its own ecosystem, in my experience. YouTube and Instagram sometimes lead to each other, but none of them ever lead to Substack, to people signing on to your newsletter. And so, like, this is where I think it'd be wise to aim to, like, you know what I mean? Like, use them as best we can. We might only get a dozen sales from each, but that's a dozen sales more than before. And it would certainly, like, on my end with my stuff, it would be content on YouTube. And there's a reason why I'm also looking to conclude some of the earlier series and videos that I did before and just try to push people towards the book. And more and more I'm learning that it's good to have those, well, to have those videos also put on Twitter and all over the internet. You only get, like, at most a dozen sales. And at least that's what I think. And still, I'd rather try that than do nothing. But the real sales I've found are in person. I don't know if you've noticed
Yes,
this or if you.
always. That's how I made my initial sales, but back in the day when I started on Minds.
Mhm.
That was how the best kind of like readers, the best people, you find them yourself through personal interaction. Yes, it's time consuming, but it's always worth it. And I wouldn't be
Yeah.
here now, and but I think still writing, still working. If not for these like first few readers that I sold my books to. That's what
Well,
I mean. You can try to substitute this with uh, mm, like a slog of cheap advertisement, but it's not going to work long in the long run. You don't need like casual like casual confused sales. You need people who are generally interested in one or another aspect of what you are selling, what you're providing. Otherwise, you're gonna have a bad time.
yeah. And while I've found that um, what tends to draw in more, like, I tend to have more success in person. And um, so far I've sold about um, what was it, 130 or 40 copies in person, but only I think like 100 copies digitally of
Mm,
Crown of Blood. And this is something that's gotten me thinking. And when I went to that small convention a while back with Daniel, we met with someone and he had a lot of advice to give later. And um and what ended up happening is that um we it just got me thinking, like, also hitting some of the convention scenes and the book fairs and whatnot. Now, I did get ironically, a Vanity Press's uh, business plan for how they tend to do it. International book fairs and whatnot seems to be their main go-to, which, as well as national ones, and that there are possibilities there. Um, and on and that's something that I think, um, when it comes to the convention scene, like I found out because my sister helps out at one. Um, I found out that, for example, one of them draws like 30,000 people a year, and I've gotten advice for how to manage those. But let me see. Let's say,
Sadly, the convention scene here is it's tightly curated, and you can't just pop up. I mean, you could try, but
you could
it's
buy a table and
mm,
no.
I mean, even if you had the money, in most cases you will have to be on someone's list, so to speak, if you catch my drift. I think at some point, maybe it was like 6 or 7 years ago, there were these events, which they were indie events, and anyone could attend, but apparently the big publishers made sure to destroy them, to stifle them. And I was like trying to see what's happening and asking around, but since many of my friends are now gone, I can't, like, I don't have the connections anymore. And even if I did, I mean that the situation right now, it's pretty abysmal, unless you're connected with some of the frat pubs here, which are they are uh, I just don't want to talk about it. That's crazy.
Well, I'm looking up quite a few of those. Now in Canada, they're mostly in Quebec, Toronto, Montreal, and Ottawa. Um, as it is, Toronto and Quebec City have the biggest ones. Montreal has some of the hand-me-downs from Quebec every once in a while, and the I'm currently looking at France and finding that most of the conventions there seem to be in Paris, which is not good. I only say it's not good because I'm not really into African cities.
Yes, I understand completely.
I don't care to visit the Middle East.
Yep.
But if I were to try going to one of these, I'd want to make sure it's, well, first off, I need a French book in hand, not one that I'm still, like editing and revising and whatnot, and then I'm gonna have to find a publisher for. Because my French books are much, much bigger than my English ones because there's so much material, and I get over enthusiastic. I just get too excited writing the language, and then I just pack in everything, and it gets to be about 3 to 4 times bigger than any English books I write. I'm just much more enthusiastic about that. But Let me see. Oh my gosh. I just think that some of these are possibilities for selling books and whatnot. As you
I
know, like,
agree. I
but it would be
before Gilded was Schlocked, a lot of like indies, especially some some who were in Germany. A couple of them. One of them said that they have like they're growing this underground indie convention scene, which is they're basically they're hiding. I mean, they're almost hiding. They are not overly advertising them, and you don't have like tens of thousands of people visiting these places because they're on the low side. But the people who go there are exactly the people that you need to go there, not the people that you don't need to go there. And the bulk of these people, in most cases, like in probably uh, at least 5 out of 10 of these people who go there, they will buy your book. The problem is that we don't have this here, and I'm not sure that we will ever have it.
I'm currently looking up 2026 for the UK and Ireland because this year is impossible. And 2026, now for international book fairs, I'd say there's Frankfurt, there's a couple of other cities. Oh wow, there's something called the Fantasy Con in Britain, well, in Scotland, which involves the annual convention of the British Fantasy Society. I'm just going to open that guy up and take a look at this. The only reason I'm taking a look at this is precisely the sort of thing I'm somewhat built for, but I don't know how big this damn thing is. And I am considering some of the bigger ones, if only due to the possibility of sales. And let's see. Okay, so it, given the number of hits, it'd be moderate sized, I think. Well, that's still fine. I'm actually going to just add one extra. Let me see. Do I already? Oh, yeah. What the damn hell? Let's try this. I'm having problems with this. Okay, I gotta. It's glitched.
Yeah.
Let's see. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why it glitched. I was just trying to make a new folder, but now it's. What is going on? Why can't I?
Maybe you have another folder open or a file open.
Well, no, it's like I've got this. I clicked on add folder, and now I can't add. What I'm looking at is just this add folder thing, and I can't actually either add or cancel.
Oh yeah, that's a glitch. That's a Windows glitch. And I think it
So
happens on, and I think it happens on Windows 10, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, it's my
Yeah.
Opera. 1 second. I'm gonna have to just find the task manager thing, and
You can
I'm
you can open the task manager from the control panel too.
yeah, I'll be right back. I just need to and
Mm. Yeah, that's the problem with Windows is sometimes they work, sometimes they decide not to work. Anyways, well, he's looking for the task manager. I could read a little bit more from that chapter, maybe. I don't know, maybe a couple of paragraphs. We'll see. Let's see. Yes. Where was I? Ah, yes. Yeah. Men, women, and children alike fell in their droves. Some fought to defend their home shelter, others succumbed to illnesses, lack of water, excruciating hunger, or the myriad of toxins which still lingered in the air. They were, yet their mummified bodies were breathing poison gas, and hollow eye sockets aglow with radiation.
all right.
They bore
I'm back.
witness to their undeserved doom. With lipless mouths, they avowed a throng of ghastly terrors would befall those who feasted upon the living. Yeah, I decided to read a little bit more while you were gone.
Good. Well, like I said, I've been looking at this convention stuff. I do think that there's possibilities there in the book fairs, because you can buy tables of these things and try to sell what you've got, author copies, I mean. Let me actually look something up. I know there's a lot in Germany, but I'm curious about Bulgaria. There's the Sofia International Book Fair. I know. Let me check something. Jeez, this thing's so stubborn. Looking for info here this is not very user friendly. Ugh.
No.
It's pretty hideous to look upon. Okay, I was confused when that publisher gave me their marketing plan and whatnot. But I wonder. I'm going to try Googling something. Buy a table. Let's see. There are. Oh yeah, you're right. You do have to basically be in with them. Yeah, that's impossible there. Yeah, you told me so. Yeah, you're right. Let me check something. Let me just check something. All right. Okay, so I did a bit more digging. Let me see. Okay, you'd have to pay for a table at a designated table, but you're not getting the primo location. The primo locations are for the top dogs, the publishers. You get the
So basically,
corners.
yeah, you're not even getting the corners.
Yeah.
Basically, in what happens is that if you do not know anyone, they can still take your money. They
Mhm.
can, so quote unquote, give you a table. And when you go there, you may not even get to see anyone because you will be somewhere in the back,
Trying to
at
sell your
the
books.
it's like it's insane. I mean, I've been to the early ones, like the
Mhm.
early ones in the early 2000s, different places here, not just here but in other cities. And it's they always do that. They claim that, I mean, you may be lucky. You may be lucky, and then some of the guys, they they could make a mistake, and they could put you like a bit further forward, or maybe you'll get lucky, and then some people will get lost and find you, like trying to find their way out. They might find you somewhere like, um, in your dusty corner. But yes, I know, I knew a guy who'd been going to this for, I think, 19 years or 18 years. And he um I think he paid, like he went to a couple of them each year in different cities.
Mhm.
He had paid a lot of money, he out of his own pocket. He wasn't like super rich. He had the copies. He was trying to sell them, but the issue first was that uh, they did not like his work. It wasn't like,
Mm.
wasn't towing the line, wasn't the message, quote unquote. And
Mm.
they just like
Okay.
they just took his money, and they did nothing, pretty much. And eventually he,
Well,
I think he died. He died of cancer.
ah, oh, okay. Well, what I'm thinking is, in that case, uh, it might be better to. I think it'd be better to hit the conventions um, in certain places, um, because the conventions are where you go
Not
for the
here.
fans themselves.
Not
Yeah,
here.
not
Not
yeah,
here.
not there. Yeah,
Not here.
sadly. They're popular in North America. I can't like accessing the ones in the US is going to be very hard for me because political tensions. Um, and
I think
Canadians are getting to be
Germany shows a lot of promise, by the way.
oh, Germany's the best.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
France, France, you need French books, and I don't have one readily available. I'm going to try to work for the summer on beating my shitty Assange into shape, and then finding a publisher in August. Maybe I'll try finding a publisher then and send it off to them. An indie publisher, like a like print to buy. You know what I mean?
Yep,
Like
yep, yep.
a small Catholic one who have an editor on staff who can beat my book into shape all over again and edit it all over. If need be, if they tell me we want to slice it up into little pieces because it's 1,500 pages long. Like if they tell me we want to slice it into 400 page volumes, I'll just agree. because it's not unreasonable. And at that point, I'd have a French book, so I'd be able to go around to the, you know what I mean, to the various French conventions. But Germany offers the most potential right now. Germany also has the biggest fantasy and sci-fi like readership base alongside Japan. It seems to me, after looking it up, France and uh, well, there is the U.S. and there is Britain. Not to put too fine a point on it, these are the four main places one would want to market a book or sell. Um, but for Japan, it'd be best to have a job. Like Japan and France are very linguistically like grounded. You know what I mean? Like you need it to be in their language, and it makes
Hmm.
sense. It's the culture. It's why like going to the Bay Day Festival that I want to go to. I don't have anything, but I'm going there more to try to knock elbows and you know what I mean, and make friends in the Bay Day industry, or at least get them to recognize my face and my name, so that I can, at the next opportunity when I have a book ready, I can maybe give it to them and say, "What would you say to doing a bande dessinée of this, a comic book of this?" Um, and as for Germany, I know they're far more fluent in English than France.
Yes, they are. Oh, the
Yeah,
I one of my unfortunately he's gone. He's also dead.
but
Uh,
it'd still be great to get a book translated in Deutsch.
I had one of my first fans. He was helping me with English, with the edits and stuff, and he was also I met him also on Minds. He was, I think, in Munich, if I remember correctly. But he had like some like health issues, so he's gone. But
Oh.
he I think he read all of my first books. He was a great sci-fi and fantasy fan, and he was also like a Conan fan. I mean, Robert E. Howard.
Hmm.
No, not just
Yeah,
Conan. So,
it's strange that Conan took so long to get translated into French.
huh,
Uh,
that's strange.
like I know it
I
was
would have.
almost instant in Germany and in German and whatnot. Yeah,
Ah,
well, it's just the way it turned out. I know, um, but the thing is, but Conan is immensely popular in comic book form and bande dessinée form. But
oh
it's
yeah,
just
I
so
think
happened that
In France, like the especially like more it's more on the comic side, maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong.
yeah. But
I've noticed
recently, well, in the
something.
past few years, there's been more novelized
Ah,
versions, and they're very good translations.
gotcha.
The Tolkien translations are trash, um, total trash. Um, so yeah, the German convention scene. I guess I'm kind of thinking um, in the future down the road, going for oh my gosh, where did that come from? Going for some of the larger uh, conventions, but for that you need like um, 100 or 200 uh, copies. You need product, and you got to think like a merchant. Like you got to have like I got told the exact amount um, of boxes you need, and for like a what is it, a medium sized one, it's 110 uh, books or 5 boxes. Like these are large containers. But for something with 30,000 people or so, you need about 10 of those filled up with books and whatnot.
Hmm.
And but the guy who told me that said he knows people who've pulled in like 10,000 or $30,000 easy off those kind of conventions. And he said, but you gotta like you're you don't have time to sit around and make friends. You're just trying to rush the books out to people. So it's just like the convention, getting all this advice in from a variety of people with more experience at the convention scene got me thinking that um, this might be something to ponder and consider. Um, but yeah, in Bulgaria, I guess it's impossible. It's a
Yep,
shame.
pretty much.
Bulgaria looks like Sofia looks like it'd be a beautiful city to visit,
Uh,
and
it
Bulgaria,
it is unless you're going all by yourself, and you you will you have like a um maybe I don't know. These days it's like the chance is lower, but you could still like bump into someone who could uh be connected to some of like they have them in all countries, like the tourist
yeah,
grifters. It's like, yes, I'm
yeah,
going to show this place, yeah, yeah, and this and that, and at some moment, some like you suddenly get the sneaky feeling that you're being taken advantage of. So but if you know someone, it's uh, everything is nice.
hmm.
You can eat good food. It's still not as expensive as, like, I mean, it's expensive to us. um
But it's not like the price of Paris
no, no.
or
uh
yeah,
for
like
example, they inflated overinflated the prices of pretty much everything, I think 5 times, something like that, because they're preparing to shove us into the EU economic zone. And when they do this, originally, like, logically, the prices should like go back 50%, almost 50%, but they won't. And the salaries will not rise, and everything will be, of course,
screwed.
they are lying. Yeah, they're lying right now. So it's going to be milk and honey and this and that. They just want to steal a few hundred millions more from there is like savings, like huge savings for of the bank, the national bank. They will give most of the money to the European Central Bank, so they can prevent the collapse. Um, and on the way, some of the money will conveniently find new pockets, new owners. But otherwise, let's not go into the doom and gloom here. If you come here, probably you can stretch your dollar, even with the fake rise of the prices and the inflation uh, from the COVID money printing bonanza. Um, and you can say that maybe if you avoid the tourist trap restaurants, you can find good street food for normal prices.
Yeah.
The prices are
Well,
fine.
I figure um, I should think about the European scene and whatnot, also because I'm going to be in France, and um, but I'm sure, like once I'm there, my writing is probably going to be more oriented towards them. because I'm going to be operating in that kind of atmosphere and environment, environnement.
Hmm.
And um, but what I had thought was that Europe is, in terms of readership base, well, each of the countries are pretty ripe for you know the plucking. And the thing is, um, yeah, so I don't like Germans. I know speak fluent English. This is nothing like France. It seems France has resisted English far more than any other country almost in Europe. Because I know people in Finland, Sweden, even Poland, they've given themselves over to English, even Italians. But it seems that Gaelic is rising back up in Ireland and Scotland, but it seems like Spain and France have just kind of had a we don't want this, we don't want the language, or at least on some level. Like I've spoken with some people from France, and they told me the English level is abysmal in most of the schools. So
Yep,
um,
yep. They're not lying.
yeah, they told me that teachers who teach it can't even speak it most of the time. And so, me as someone who can speak both languages, I'm going to be in a remarkably blessed position. And um, when I looked up the salaries, it looked a lot better than than like Japan. So like I'm going to start off with a small salary, then later I'm going to be. I think they said uh, from what I looked at some of the job ads, it looked like 2,200 euros a month, and if you said 4,000 euros a month,
Yep.
and I I don't know euros, so for me this is I'm a total blank slate. I'm used to the Canadian dollar.
Problem with the euro is that eventually it's like it's coming to an end. A lot of the things that they did during the so-called pandemic and the mad print of money, it was not just here. They created um, it's like a
Inflation.
black hole. Yeah, a black hole of inflation, and they are sustaining it by pulling different tricks, um, political tricks, and taking loans
Mm,
against the like the future earnings and everything. But uh, the economic is like German economy is pretty much locked.
that's no.
France
And
is like
Germany's the
France is
manufacturing
breathing
part.
heavily because it's like the certain leaders have proved way too many people there who are not contributing to the economy, and they're just a net drain on the economy. And they it's like so a couple of the politicians here, they were like they said, oh yes, we have to like get in the economic zone until like before it um, before 2028, because after that is going to be pointless, meaning that mean they did not say it officially, meaning that they know that everything is practically falling apart. They just want to get in so they can steal more, they can appropriate more funds, and then when everything falls apart, they'll just like split, just like the commies did back in the day. Here they exploited everything in the end, like the falling apart, the
Mm.
so-called economy, planned economy. They stole everything and they ran away. So that's what is pretty much happening.
Yeah, they're scum. Um, but I still think, well, here in Canada, they're in the process of that basically. Like, the Canadian dollar is, um, Well, we have the resources. You know what I mean? Like we've got the resources, the natural resources, the natural wealth. We have all the gold and silver and natural gas and oil in the world. We are the perhaps alongside Russia the most uh, rich nation in the world in terms of natural resources. But and we are blessed also with boatloads of Quebecois et Galophones, that is to say, Francophones and Galophones. So we have those Celts who can do the Celtic work ethic. But the government is obsessed with Indians and importing them and Muslims by the millions. And they're using instead financial tricks to prop up everything. And it can't last that way. And the trouble, but on the other hand, there is hope because to be had because Starmer, Macron, and Carney have had to acknowledge, there's a problem, and there's now immigration caps being set up, and
Yeah,
they have started.
yeah.
Starmer has deported 290,000 people, and then came out of the closet and basically admitted he's getting off on it. And now he's starting to get a little drunk on deportations because these people are sadists, but the sadisticness of Carney and Starmer has started to be directed at the foreigners. So because they're now the majority to an extent, you know what I mean? Well, maybe not the entire majority, but they're in their faces a lot more. So they're liking to see them crying and breaking down. So there's more sadistic action being taken against them rather than the native stock. And this is good. Macron has been nudged and hinted by a lot of people on Twitter and whatnot. But, like on the other hand, there are still no jobs here in Canada. Like you can apply as much as you want for a job. It's damn
Yeah,
near.
you're not gonna get it. Yeah.
Yeah, and employers like there are people in the local area across several townships here in Canada where I am. And what happens is that they'll be flooded by CVs and resumes from locals. And what they tend to do is delete them all or dump them all in the garbage and say, well, see, I didn't get any. And then they go
Yep.
and hire Indians and
Yep.
they're subsidized. And so they make like tens of thousands, like I think like per Indian, it's almost $7,000 Canadian a month for just to have these people working for them. And then, of course, they underpay these people because, they're slaves and they pocket most of the money. And then so these guys, and I know a few guys in my local town who are making they're making big bank. Like they're making 30 to 40,000. Well, no, it's probably like closer to $30,000 a month. And if you confront them about it, they get smug and they say, well, I have a moral duty to do this. And for some reason, they think they're righteous for doing it and that you're bigoted for not wanting this. And then, of course, when they go to turn away from you or report you, they actually then gloat. But then when you listen in on the Indians, they just want to flood the place with their own until they could get the upper hand and just get rid of the boss and take what he has for themselves. So it's like these middle managers are incredibly stupid and treacherous.
Oh yes. Yes, they are.
And
Yes, they are.
I'm going to be honest, I have more sympathy for the politicians now because I kind of view it as I expect them to be treacherous worms that cater to the banks. They're oligarchs. But the mid-level business owners who backstab people, I have no sympathy for them. And I really
there was a word here which the common people use to call them. And I'm
Traders.
not sure that it's like cheap
Well,
cheap peddlers. Like this is the
yeah,
closest I could
yeah,
translate it to.
yeah.
And
In French,
they always think that yeah, we are making the big bucks and everything, but actually they're digging their own uh, economic graves. Like this is
yeah. But what's interesting to me is that Quebec started to do this, but most of the Quebec business owners, when I went there, only want to hire local, and they detest any kind of outsider of any sort. And no, like they genuinely detest them. Well, they don't hate like other Europeans; they love them, but there's just an attitude of if you're coming in from outside, you better already have a place, you better already be established, and it's incredibly hard because it's an expensive province to live in. And it's like, but we don't want to go outside of it. The government offers incentives and says, bring in more Indians, more Filipinos, and whatnot, and the local business owners are just not wanting it. Now they will hire some Africans, but French ones, but the French ones, they prefer French African girls, it seems, rather than men, because well, every once in a while there's gang rapes that African males do, and this is causing trouble. And like I've just noticed, there's a lot more tribal loyalty amongst the French than there is amongst the Anglophones of Canada. I know a few Ontarian and prairie ones, Anglophones, who went to Newfoundland, to the Celtic provinces for work, or to bought themselves a van and just started almost street food, and or bought like a small building and turned it into a restaurant. There's a lot of very creative, very crafty Anglophones who are not being well served, and they've had to go east to, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And they're doing well for themselves now. But when I was traveling through there, at least one of them told me, "Don't go back. Don't go back. Like you seem like a nice guy. Don't go back. It's not worth it. Ontario's a hole. Now it belongs to non-Canadians. You go back, you deserve what's coming to you, and it's just going to be joblessness and depression and whatnot. This place is so much better." And um, but it seems like the Celtic regions just having a hatred for the invaders. The Anglophone communities have noticed the youths hate the invaders, but the business owners love them. And um, but yeah, so but in my case, I got lucky and I've got that great program that hires Canadians specifically for France for school teachers. Um, but it's mostly for English teaching assistants, and then generally you're encouraged to leverage your way if you can get your education certificate into teaching for English courses, like being an English teacher. But I'd like to, but I told them I'm going in for my French degree and French education degree. So that apparently has netted me quite a bit of favoritism from them. And the fact that I want to be in the countryside has also got me some favor. But I don't know how cheap or expensive the French countryside is. I don't know anyone from there. Everyone I've spoken to are in the cities.
I knew a guy who was he moved here. Um, he moved here. He was temporary here in the city,
Uh huh.
and he was like a refugee from Paris, and he
Hmm.
came here. He stayed like for I think a year and a half until he found a wife, and
Hmm.
I think moved to the countryside somewhere here. I forgot where it was, but he said like I don't want to I no longer want to live in the city. Like, I don't want. So yeah, he apparently, his great grandfather was a farmer, um, and they were somewhere like in the province, in France, and but like his grandfather made the mistake to move to Paris and like try to establish a business there, and
No, pas possible.
yeah.
It's not possible. You can't get by. It's why I specifically mentioned I want the countryside. Give me like the children of farmers to teach. I do not want to teach in the cities. And apparently, most people who are American and Canadian who sign into this program want the cities. I specifically said no cities.
Yeah. They want the
Because
soy. They want the soy. Yay.
whereas,
Let them gorge. Let them gorge on the soy.
yeah, and
Give them all
France,
the
well,
soy.
France's cities used to be the crown in the Celtic civilization. You know, like the most beautiful cities with the most beautiful culture, paintings, architecture, and whatnot. But it's like the cities aren't worth it. You can visit them, but you should not stay in them. And that was actually the words of my mother, who was excited a few years ago to visit there before COVID. She visited with my sister, and she was horrified. And um, and this is, like I said, it's like, but I've spoken with a German who told me that the South and the Loire region, like if you go to the countryside, it's still French. And well, that's what got me thinking, with this program, ask for that. He said the Toulouse, um, from Toulouse to, uh, I think Aquitaine would be, or Poitou, uh, would be the regions to go to. This is like the South, La France profonde. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Deep France, like the countryside. But he said you're not going to meet anyone there. Well, he's like, you're going to be, if you meet any girls, they'll all be Catholic and they'll all be traditional and they'll all be conservative. And I said, well, that's what I want. Okay, good. But you're not going to meet a lot of people. It's like sparsely populated. And he said, you're going to need the trains or a car. So I got lots of good advice. But the thing is, like I said, in terms of book sales, I doubt I'll make a lot of English book sales in France. Um,
Probably
the people
not.
just not warranted. Um, I have to ask, what's the English level of Bulgaria?
It's good. It's good because
Better.
we've lost. I think we've lost uh, close to 5 million people after the beginning of the change to the quote unquote democracy.
Hmm.
Pretty much most, like everyone who had any connections, or like some I don't know, they knew someone in let's say in the US or in Britain or Germany or anywhere else, even in Spain, because but they're running away from Spain right now. But um, they kind of migrated away because the country was in shambles. It's a, you know, this is uh, I don't have to talk
Yeah.
much about, yeah. So
Well,
to
but the
go and go out and work in let's say in the US or Canada or um, even
well, in
Germany.
Canada,
I
you
I'm
can't.
I I'm told that in the beginning of the migration wave, there were some token Bulgarians in Canada,
Ooh,
but they
we need
quickly,
more.
yeah, but they ran
Yeah,
away. They ran away.
yeah. They came back to Bulgaria.
I in recent years, like pretty much everyone who I
left.
knew back in the day, some from my high school days, they ran back, came back from they were like many of them went to Britain, to England, to London and the surrounding like areas of London, and like pretty much everyone came back. Um, some of them came back with their wives, who are English, and thankfully, most of them had like some relatives here left, and they came back and like they sold everything that they had in England. It's
Yeah.
the same thing was with people who went to the US, to the like the Chicago area, because there was like a big Bulgarian
Push.
community in Chicago. Yeah,
Mm.
I don't know if you're aware. I was told, I didn't know too. So a
I
lot of
didn't.
them came back because
Mm.
Chicago is
Become a
um,
shithole.
yeah, it's like I know a guy from Chicago. He's born and raised there, and he calls Chicago Chirac. Combination of, you know, it's like it's like Iraq. It's worse than Iraq. So that his words, not mine. And that's why here you will meet lots of people who know uh,
But I bet
good.
a few of them know French.
Some know French,
Un peu, juste un peu de français.
some,
Um,
but I think like the most will have like some understandable level of
Est-ce que un peu
English.
de français, mais pas trop?
Not sure about the French.
Ah, okay. But yeah, so as far as the um, as far as the all that goes, I was just curious. Although with Canada, what's interesting to me is that um, when I went to Quebec last, I was stunned at how horrible their English was, and I actually hadn't. Well, if like because I knew because I am fluent in French, I had an easy time getting around, but I had a thought, what if I didn't know? And I then
Oh,
realized, I then realized the Japanese are higher in English fluency than the French. And what I
is
then
that bad? Is that
yeah, it
bad?
was that bad. It was that
Ouch!
bad. Yeah.
Ouch!
And the thing is, I would test my fellow teachers a little just out of curiosity. They did not like of the adults in a city of about 10,000 people, in terms of English, you might have had probably like 100 or 200 who could speak accented English and could understand some English, but not like at the most, they're passable. And most of those would be natives. So if you're looking at pure French stock, like Quebecois, you you might be lucky if you have 100. And it was, yeah, it was like, wow, this is worse than in Japan, where like in a similarly sized city, I could find far more people who spoke English. But France and Quebec are registered higher than Japan on the UN index of fluency in English. But I have a suspicion that money is being passed around to prop them up
Yeah,
as higher, when in reality they're actually terrible in English. and the English fluency is just abysmal. And the thing is, I've also got a lot of other friends in Quebec, and like I said, I'm more in tune with the French speaking world these days, and through Reddit, through Twitter, through um, friends on Facebook and whatnot. And it's just the English level is just abysmal. And it's something that even glancing once through TikTok, French TikTok, seeing them try and fail with English. Like, for example, I am bilingue maintenant. No. Like, it was cute when that girl said that, but it's like, that's about the extent of the English fluency. And c'est étonnant. It's surprising. But like when I deal with Japanese people still, I'm pretty impressed by their English level. Whereas the French, I'm just like they'll say sometimes, est-ce que ça serait plus facile en anglais? Would it be easier in English? And I'm basically thinking, you can't even speak it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how would it be easier? It's just going to lead to you being more confused and me then getting confused when if at least if I speak French, you know, I've got my dialect and whatnot and my accent, but and while I am rusty to an extent with it, it's going to be easier on you than it is on me. And but because I'm using my French more and more these days, I'm getting less and less rusty. And
Yeah.
so it's just, you know, you spend more time in French, then my French comes out, my accent and dialect changes and whatnot to a more Quebecois one. Actually, my accent and dialect is apparently Quebec, northern Quebec. So, and so when I speak in French, people can tell. Actually, people confuse me with the Midlands in Quebec. And even Quebecois confuse me with that region and say, "You're native here, aren't you?" And then I'll say, "No, I'm actually from Ontario." I've had someone not get angry, but think I'm lying to them. And I'm like, no, je ne mens pas. Je mens pas. I'm not lying. I'm not lying. And it was a little fun. They're convinced I was lying. I was a local. And it turned out when my brother came along, they were like, oh, yeah, I'm so sorry. I thought you were a local and you were trying to pull some prank on me. But but when I've traveled through France, they were like, we get a lot of Quebecois in here, like you. And I'm like, I'm not actually from Quebec. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. And I'm basically thinking, okay, sure. I'll just say sure. My family's from Quebec. Okay, then you're Quebecois because your accent sounds just like it. Okay, sure. D'accord. Vas-y. On va dire que je suis Québécois. We'll just say I am. So at this point in life, I just say I am because it's just easier to, you know what I mean? And nationally, like Northern Ontario is basically
Don't argue with your people. You just say, just agree.
Yeah, it's gay if I disagree with them.
Yeah. By the way, I see that you found my new new post, which is which comes with a sneaky book link.
But what I'm thinking of, like I said, I'm thinking for marketing, we need the audio thing. We'll need to talk to James and your friend about that. And for the convention scene, well, currently Dan and I are looking at prepping either for a Canadian one, or I'm now looking at Britain as a possibility. But for that, there need to be a lot of money saved up and prepped because, you know, it is expensive ordering a lot of books in.
Yep.
And there need to be the space and the warehouse space and whatnot, and the boxes and whatnot, and transportation and the like. However, that being said, the possibility exists, and one can make a lot of sales that way, at least a few hundred, and make some good money. And there's always the possibility of orders where, you know, they'll pay you and sign up for orders and you can, you know, but yeah, so we'll have to talk again. But I'm glad that Bulgarians are going home because, well, Bulgaria needs her sons and daughters,
They're
especially in
going.
the
They're
Navy.
coming back because it's some of them have like I mean that wave.
They're realizing
Yeah,
how gay it is
they're
here.
realizing. Yeah, exactly. Pretty much.
And I'll be honest, I've been noticing a lot of French speakers rushing back to Quebec and France. I know a lot of people I grew up with whom it's like they're no longer in Ontario. They've moved to Quebec. And they've just uprooted their family and gone there because, they felt safer there and there was more opportunity there. And it's, you know, um, in a panic, if people are not brainwashed, they'll cling to their tribe, they'll turn to it. It's just human instinct. And it's part of the reason I'm going back in for education degree. And I'm basically going to be going for French teaching experience and work experience because, that's my tribe. I have to cling to them because without them, what have you got? But on the other hand, thanks for the info on Germany. I'll have to look them up. But I'll end this by just simply saying that repeating one funny thing a radio guy from France has said and translating his joke. I think you'll like it. Germany and England are not real countries, but they're failed French colonies that have somehow overtaken us economically in the past 2 centuries. And like he doesn't, it's like that French humor. It's just they're failed colonies that have overtaken us. And that was his explanation for it's like, why are they gay? Well, they're failed colonies. If they were successful, they wouldn't be gay, and they'd still be speaking French. And I don't know how the Germans would react to that joke. The English, I know, would probably bust a gut and start wanting to razz right back, but I don't know how the Germans would react. So if we have any German audience, I meant every word. And feel free to take pot shots at France. But not Bulgaria. Bulgaria and Greece are the shield of Christendom, so you need them. Anyways, I gotta eat lunch and I gotta actually write today. I've done some writing, but not enough for my taste. I gotta edit as well.
Yeah, I already did that. I have to finish I have to complete the chapter that I'm working for tomorrow, or at least like the bulk of it. The fourth one in the Lost Numbers.
Okay.
It is which is for Terran Tuesday, and
all right.
See.
Well, so don't forget to also on tomorrow or Wednesday send me one of your fantasy chapters so that I can include it, even if it's a repeat for Warrior Wednesday. And and like I said, hopefully the audio book thing. What I'm thinking of doing is when it comes time for Star Shatter and Lord of Bones to have that, what I'm thinking is I would do reviews of that on Brothers Crin and link to the book itself. And this way, like hopefully this will get you some sales.
Hopefully.
Yeah, it's frustrating if not. But
I think I reached like a number of my own readers with that review that I wrote for the Crown of Blood.
Oh, right. I forgot about that. If you want, you could always review Calibold, and I could then market that review and do a response to that review or something.
This year,
no.
It's like I have to finish book 8 of the Star Shattered series, and I need to reformat 2 huge books,
Oof.
which, like, it's the 5th one and the 6th one. I have to at least the 6th one. The 6th one will probably, when I reformat it, it will get to be over 800 pages.
Wow.
Even with the 200 and something pages that I cut from it.
Wow.
And I think that, yeah, and I
What
think
a
I
beast.
mentioned, yeah, it was, and because it's like it describes a whole preparation for the liberation of entire planet, which is like the planet is huge. It's one of the big planets, and there is like there are a couple of different viewpoints which coalesce into a mad ending, and at some point, I think I had to cut parts of it because it was too big. And now with the reformatting, it will be it's going to like it's gonna the page count is gonna jump. It's impossible to not jump.
Okay. Well, either way, like, um, we'll see what the future holds. Good luck, and don't forget to subscribe to the Black Knight, everyone, and to buy one of his Star Shatter books, which are the top sci-fi stories out there right now. And his Lord of Bones, I can guarantee, is quite the D&D styled experience. So it's definitely something that, people will enjoy. So do read it. Do buy it, read it, review it. And until next time.
Thank you.